good morning, everyone, or afternoon,
Hello.
or evening, or whatever time of day it is.
Happy Saturday.
Valentine's Day, everyone.
Yay! Happy
Yay.
Valentine's.
And for those in Australia and New Zealand who are joining us tomorrow, hope you had a good Valentine's Day already.
Oh,
That's right. I like it when Valentine's Day is early. Well, I guess Valentine's Day is always early because you can get through before Wednesday and Lent begins. Now, maybe for some of you that's not an issue, but you know. But anyways, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. And let's see who's here. Mel is here. She was the first one to arrive, according to my clock here. From down under, and Fiordalisi sending me many messages to make sure I don't go too long. Yes. Dia is here. John Tyner is here. Chris Ferriolo, and let's see, Hillary Gadsby from Wales. David Dodd from DuPont, Washington. Tamara Sims. Amanda is here as well from down under. Rick Cleland is here. Susie Carda. Doris Lanier, Patricia Havens, Rhonda Conrad is also joining us. Dame Ellen the First is here. And the Black Pearls of Genealogy. Love to see the Black Pearls. Excellent. Great. And hello to everyone else who's coming and watching online. And again, we've got two special guests, so glad to have you, Amy.
oh, we're losing Greg.
Yeah, Greg.
Did we lose him again? Oh,
Yeah.
You're glitching a little.
Did he get through the whole list?
Pass it to Denise while Greg sorts it out.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, for Behind the Branches today, I guess everyone can see my special guest is Ms. Amy Johnson Crow.
Yay!
Amy is a respected genealogist, educator, and a very active U.S. Black Heritage member. And she's also a voice for thoughtful, credible research. So today we're going to dig into credibility in genealogy research. I'll get it together. We're going to talk about how do we evaluate sources? How do we handle conflicting information? And how do we build trees that honor the truth of families we're documenting? Always a challenge for everyone. So we're going to just jump in. How's it going, Amy?
It's going well. I'm glad that I actually have internet. My husband was telling me that he woke up during the night and saw that the little Wi-Fi router was like blinking. So, but it's back. Mine is back. I don't know about Greg, but you know,
I'm back
Greg is
now.
back.
you're back now. All right.
He unfroze.
Yeah, he unfroze. That's a problem in our part of the world right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing that I think a lot of people, especially when they're first getting started in genealogy, you know, they hear, oh, you have to have sources. You have to have sources, and yeah, you do, but I think just saying having sources, that's kind of where some people stop. And it's like, okay, I have sources, so I'm good. But when you stop and think about what a source is just whatever you use to get information. And if you think about things in your life outside of genealogy, you know that, okay, Bob next door tells you one thing and your coworker tells you something else. Okay, you know, you have two sources, which one's right? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's where we stop too soon with our genealogy. It's just like, okay, I have a source, but then we don't stop and think about, well, how accurate is that source? How credible is that source? How much weight should I be giving to it? Especially when I see something later on that conflicts with what I have. So that's really what I think that's really when you start taking your genealogy kind of to that next step, is really thinking about, I found this, what does it really mean? What is it really telling me?
Yeah. So what's your process, Amy, for evaluating and determining a credible source?
I find the nearest coin and I flip it. No, just kidding. I just wanted to see how many people were awake right now. No, the first thing that I think about is there a better source I could be using? So, like, let's say that I find something in this wonderful book, Cemeteries of Greenfield Township, Fairfield County, Ohio, and it's got, it's a lovely publication put together by the Genealogy Society. But this death for Eliza Jane Hanna, 1932. Okay, well, that's great. This isn't really what you would call the best source for her death. So yeah, I got it out of this book, but can I find something better? Can I find, in this case, maybe her death certificate, something that was actually recorded for the purpose of recording that event? So, really thinking about, is there a way that when I have something, is there something that I can improve upon it? If I find, and it's the same like with finding something on Find a Grave. Yeah, it might have a picture of the tombstone, which is great. I mean, that's an improvement over the memorials that are just dates with no photo of the tombstone. But even then, we all know tombstones aren't always accurate. So is there something that you can follow up with? Can you find a death certificate? Can you find an obituary? Can you find a church record that is more likely to be accurate? And thinking about those, what is more likely to be accurate? How close was it recorded in terms of distance from the event? Because the longer it takes to record something, the more likely it is to be inaccurate. If you're like me and you can barely remember what you had for breakfast, let alone trying to remember an exact date of something 40 years ago. Okay, just trying to get closer in time. Also thinking about the knowledge of the informant. So, and death certificates are a prime example of this, especially more modern ones where you have like the death information and then the biographical information. So oftentimes you'll see, like, who the decedent's parents are. Maybe you have the decedent's birth record, so you already have their parents' names, but you look on the death certificate and it's like they have the mother's name wrong, the mother's maiden name wrong, maybe it's not listed at all. And then you look at the informant and you realize that the informant on the death certificate is a child or a grandchild, and they never knew the decedent's parents. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen this. The informant, when it's listing parents' names, will list their own parents' names. So I have seen, and I actually have, it would be my great-great-grandmother. She died. Her son was the informant on the biographical part. He listed his parents as the mother and father. So she is technically listed as her own mother on her death certificate.
Yeah.
And if you've ever had the unfortunate circumstance of being an informant on a death certificate, that's a stressful time. I mean, you've got a lot of emotions going on, a lot of stress, and like, even if they know the information, how accurate are they in expressing it? So you have to think about that. You also have to think about, and this is something that we overlook way too often, and that is, why is this record being created to begin with? Because if the information on that record isn't specifically why that record's being created, the more likely it is to have error. Like, so you have a death certificate. The purpose of the death certificate is to record the death. Everything else, the parents' names, the birthplace, even the birth date, all of that stuff is just kind of nice to have, but it's not why that record's being created. Thinking about, even in census records, okay, the official purpose of the census in the US is to count the population to apportion seats in Congress. So that information about ages and birthplaces and parents' birthplaces and language spoken and all of that, nice to have, but it's not like anybody was being graded on it. So, you kind of have to think about, why is this record being created? And then also, and I hate to say this now, I'm sure none of us have family members in this category. Maybe it's, the in-laws, but is there a reason to lie? If you have a woman who she wants to get her husband's Civil War pension, and they had to be married by a certain date, or they had to be married for a certain length of time, might she fudge that marriage date if she was close but didn't quite make it? Just thinking about, is there a reason why something might not be 100% truthful? And you see this a lot, actually, I've seen it a lot in marriage license applications, where they will either fudge their age, or they will fudge how many times they've been previously married.
Yep.
Or you also see it on like World War I draft registrations, where they will fudge their age, either being older or younger, depending on, what they wanted to do. So.
And World War II. I've seen
And
it on World War II. And my father
any of the
admitted
draft registrations.
Yeah. My father admitted he falsified his age so that he could get into the military.
Yeah.
And help take care of his family. So, but Amy, thank you. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Your insights are always helpful, and I'm going to have you back.
We'll evaluate more things later.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. This concludes Behind the Branches for this week. Greg.
Wow.
Excellent. Okay, great stuff. Well, glad to be back, temporarily at least, hopefully for the rest of the thing. Great. Thanks, Amy. So, Vicki, do you want to introduce Lisa?
Yes. We are with Lisa Christensen, our member of the week.
Yay.
So congrats, Lisa.
Thank
you. Very well deserved.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. And we want to know, first thing, how did you get interested in genealogy? I know you started your research 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're very much involved in the U.S. Black Heritage Project. So we're talking about that. How did you start? I know you tried to solve two mysteries. That's
Yes. Yeah, there were
hung up.
mysteries. One on my father's side, one on my mother's side. One of them was a great-grandfather who had abandoned his family. So the only thing we knew about him was a name, and it was a very strange name. It's actually a French-Canadian name. So we're kind of struggling. Does this person even exist? Is this just a totally made-up name? Because we don't know anybody with this name. And then the second one was my mom knew about a Civil War soldier that was in her ancestry because her father told her about him, that he knew him before the soldier died. And he got shot in Gettysburg and he had his leg cut off. And through reading some things, my mom knew there would be a pension file for him because of that, but no clue how to get it. So that kind of got me started. And of course, I like to do things the hard way, so I didn't take any classes. I just started out in the library and started reading books. This was before the internet, so I couldn't just Google things. And one day I found my great-grandfather. His name is Octave Charles Painchode, and found him in a city directory in Detroit, exactly where he should be. And it's kind of things like he really did exist. And,
wow.
over time, of course, built up more records, and became one of my better known ancestors because great grandmother filed for divorce from him, and her surname was Christensen, which is where my surname came from. So not only did she divorce him, she changed the surname for her two oldest children that were fathered by him. So we have her surname.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The
Great
Civil War
story.
the Civil War ancestor, since I was living in Grand Rapids, he spent his American life in Cleveland, Ohio, so I didn't have a lot of access to Cleveland. But in our library in Grand Rapids, we had a book about, it was like an Ohio history, and it happened to have lists of Civil War soldiers. So I went page by page. I knew what the surname would be, and I knew it was very unusual, which thank goodness that helped. And eventually I found a man with the right name, and then could then go to census records and other things. And that was one of those cases where I was a bad girl. I had a gap between my grandfather and great-great-grandfather that I couldn't fill. And I started with the great-great-grandfather, worked my way backwards to the grandfather.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
what
So
was the last
you,
name?
And none of that has anything to do with African American genealogy whatsoever. But I got into African American genealogy through some friends who kind of posed a challenge by saying, well, you're never going to find my family because my family hid from the government. They knew if they talked to government people, the government was going to take away their children. So you're never going to find them in the census. You're never going to find them in records. So I took that on. And while I found them, there's a lot of gaps in the census records. They appear, they disappear. Some branches just come out of nowhere and start learning the frustrations of not only dealing with records from the South, in particular, the first one was Mississippi, which I hate researching Mississippi. But just because of the way African Americans were looked at, it did change and have an effect on how things were recorded. That if you had someone who was in a rural road and they're African American, we don't care about whether or not they get recorded in the census. We're just not going to go down there. That's I'm going to move on to another family that's easier to get to. I think you face things like that. How I got into it was the discovery. I was researching my sister-in-law's family, and this particular branch had a Catholic background. And I just happened to, I went into Family Search into their catalog and looked at what resources were available for that particular county, and found that there was a baptism book for the Catholic Church. So I thought, well, let's take a look. I know the estimated birth date. I know the names. I'll go through there. And so as I'm searching for this person, which I did eventually find, I kept noticing all these entries for servants. And I was thinking, well, that's kind of odd. Why are there so many servants in Union County, Kentucky? This is bizarre. And then the brain finally clicked on, and I realized, these are slaves, and that's just a nice term for enslaved people. And so I took just a few random people records from that to see if I could find them in the 1870 census or 1880 census, and I found them. And there was the verification that they were either Black or colored, whatever nomenclature they wanted to use to describe their ethnicity. And and then I suddenly realized what I had, that these records had, of course, the name of the child, most of the time their birth date, definitely their baptism date, but more importantly, the first name of each of their parents and the slave owner of the parents, which is such an unusual record to find. And there's, I think, between 1,000 and 2,000 entries for enslaved people in this record for Union County.
And you indexed those records?
I did. They're at the time they weren't indexed at Family Search. I'm not sure if they're indexed now or not. They might be indexed on Ancestry. But yeah, so I just, it's like, okay, this is the second time I've come across a record like that. And then the question is, well, what do I do with this data? It's how many people are going to keep going in this book and doing the same searches I'm doing. It's time to actually be proactive. do an index. And then during that time, as I was indexing, that's when I discovered WikiTree and the ability to not only build families, just start plunking in families that aren't related to me, but also link those families to their slave owners. And then the realization, well, I can, if there's a witness and I research that witness, I can link them to that witness as well. And that was a feature that I guess I was always looking for, that I wasn't getting from Family Search at the time, and certainly couldn't do on Ancestry at the time.
And that's how you found the U.S. Black Heritage Project, right?
Yeah.
So you joined, and well,
and here we are.
Here we are, and we have this amazing. You were asked in your interview, what inspires you to contribute so much? Well, I read, and it really inspired me also. You say, my favorite emails are the ones that come from someone who has found their WikiTree ancestor among the many profiles I have created with a simple Google search. Well, that's really inspiring.
Yeah. I didn't realize that Google was capturing all these names and dates and things and information until I started getting some of those emails from people who weren't on WikiTree at all. They're just doing, hey, let's look up grandma, let's look up great grandma, or the oldest ancestor I know about, and then they would find it. And because at this stage, I still am the manager of a lot of the enslaved ancestors that were in Union County. So then they contact me, and then I have to give them the sad news that I'm not related to them. But then it gives me inspiration. If they're interested, then I can help build their family tree even more beyond Union County and the levels that I've taken it to. And some people accept that invitation and give me more information and let me do that. Others, they've got what they want and they disappear, and they may return some other time. But it's nice to know this information is out there, hopefully forever, that they can return anytime, and it'll only get better. It'll never disappear, and it won't get worse.
Yes, but you go way beyond because you still help them. So I'm sure that's why you're our member of the week. So thank you for all your hard work and your contributions, and congrats again.
Thank you.
And thank you for this interview. Thank you for your time, and we invite you to stay connected.
All right,
this LiveCast, so we can still talk and comment. So congrats again.
Thanks.
Yeah. Where do we go next? Greg, you decide.
Well, since you have the mic, do you want to do you have profile makeovers?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course. And a very special one, since we're on Valentine's Day. We're celebrating. This is a makeover from someone that I've seen for the first time, and this is Felicity Hughes. Felicity Hughes, she updated the profile of her grandmother, and this was the before. She's Catherine Hughes, and she recently passed away two weeks ago. So we're really sorry, and Felicity, I send you a big hug, and this is a great gift you're giving to your grandma. Well, Catherine Hughes, this was her before there were no sources, because she was still living, right? So she had her parents created and siblings, but now that she passed, well, Felicity gave her grandma this gift. We have her photograph, and we have facts. And I really like what Felicity did, because it's a short profile, but everything you need to know is there, and everything has, we hope, credible sources, right, Amy? So and she is. We're thinking maybe we don't need to research much because it's very recent and people is recent, so there are no many, maybe we don't have many to research because we know this person. But she added research notes for every profile that I'm going to show, so she's very thorough doing this makeover. She created the profile of his husband and their first child, so that's why I said it's a special makeover for this Valentine's Day. And we have her photograph, but I think Felicity added these photographs privately. So, Felicity, hey, we want to see these amazing photographs from their wedding day. So thank you for this makeover. And this is the profile of her husband, Kenneth, who also passed away. He died in 2023. And she's so into detail that she says Ken died from mesothelioma. And she also added a source for the definition of mesothelioma. So that's amazing. She's really into detail, and she's really precise about locations. For every profile that I've seen, she added research notes about the specific location that is listed on certificates, and she corrects some of them. So maybe you think if this person was recently living, maybe you don't have much to say about facts or sources, but she really adds a lot of information. And then we have Noel Kenneth Turner. He was the first child of 8 children, but she died as stillborn. And she also added extensive research notes about his burial place. She went to the cemetery. She looked for information about the place of burial. So she really did a great research. We usually don't see much information for a stillborn, right? There's not much to say, but we have great sources too about the cause of death and also for the hospital. So amazing. So this also fits our theme for this month, which was couples. And she also did a makeover for Catherine's sister, and that's Joanne Therese. She had a really short bio and a couple of sources, but now she also added a beautiful picture that I can see here because she added the after image, and I can see her. Look at this photograph.
What a gorgeous hat.
And she looks like a pin-up girl. I hope I'm not something offensive, but she looks amazing, and she is dressed as the bridesmaid of her sister's wedding. So this was also Joanne. So thank you, Felicity, for these amazing makeovers and for all your work researching. You're really, she really worries about credibility. So we can see that she added proper research notes and is very precise about information and adding sources. So it also fits what we were talking with Amy. So that's perfect.
Yeah, research notes are so important. I mean, for so anyone who comes after you, and maybe you were saying that one profile where she had actually visited the cemetery. Well, another researcher might not have had the benefit of that experience. So it's like getting to sit down with her and get the inside details.
Yes, and she's thinking in advance for those who come after us, because this will stay here. And for instance, she says her second name was also incorrectly spelled Teresa, and Theresa within her funeral notice. But cemetery records correctly list this name as Therese. So this kind of details also is what gives us headaches when we are researching older ancestors, because we see different sources. But she gives this amazing detail for future generations. So thank you. Amazing work, Felicity. Thank you for joining our challenge. And that's profile makeover for this weekend.
Excellent. Super. Betsy, on to question of the week.
All right, I'm coming to you in 1 second. There we go. Okay. So in line with Valentine's Day this month, the question of the week is, do you have a favorite couple in your family tree? What about everybody in the studio? Does anyone
my parents.
I'm sorry, your parents or your grandparents?
No, my parents.
Your
Yes,
parents.
they're my favorite. Yeah.
And that what we see that a lot. We had 12 answers this week. And parents came up a lot. I had to think about this yesterday. I thought, how would I have answered this? And it's hard to pick a couple where you didn't know them personally, and then couples who maybe they're disqualified for a certain reason. But in my case, it was my great-grandparents up in Ontario, and I did not know them personally, but I've seen pictures, and I knew that he built a house for her when they got married. It was a beautiful house, and I have pictures, drawings, artwork of it. And then I saw an inscription in the family Bible that my great-grandmother kept because he predeceased her by about 25 years. And, she wrote, in addition to the pertinent details, that what a wonderful husband and father he was. We miss him every day. And so that really stuck with me. So I'm going with my great-grandparents.
Nice. Yeah. I can't narrow it down to a single couple. There's just too many.
I know. Yeah. Depends on the day we ask you, right, Greg?
I know.
Yeah. My favorite couple was my husband and I before he passed away.
Oh,
there you
sweet.
go. That's the right answer.
That was my favorite couple.
What was his name, Denise?
James
Philip.
Everybody called him Phil because his father's name was James as well. So
I see.
Nice.
Well, let's see. We do have some wonderful photographs. Let's see. This is from Alexis, and this is her Uncle Scott and Aunt Marietta. So he was on her maternal side, her Uncle Scott, and Scott and Marietta met shortly after he returned from World War II. They were married in 1946 in Kansas. And Alexis remembers spending a couple weeks each summer in their home, and they would give up their own bed so that Alexis's mother and grandmother could sleep in their bed, and they'd sleep on a pullout in the living room. And she said, getting up early in the morning, my cousins and I would go in the living room and see them sleeping in each other's arms. I always wondered how two people could sleep that way. I have this visual of these little kids creeping by and gawking. PJ Evans says, my father's youngest sister and her husband, they met in high school and married after graduating from college. They'd been married nearly 60 years when he died. So yeah, that was a theme for sure, seeing some of these wonderfully long marriages. I think there's a 70-year marriage in
Wow.
Yes. And Shonda writes about her late husband, and it is not selfish of you to pick your couple. She writes, he was my soulmate, my best friend, and more. Many people have used us as an example when they try and explain what real love is. We had an amazing 25 years together, but it wasn't enough.
Mhm.
And this particular photo is from the day that he found out that he had 3 months left to live.
Wow.
Because
Oh, my.
he had brain cancer. So it was October 5th, 2016, and he passed exactly 3 months later on January 5th, 2017.
Wow.
I'm very sorry for your loss, Shonda. Losses like that, it doesn't matter how much time has gone by.
So true.
Then Judith Green. There were a couple of people who picked couples based on interesting, cute surnames. She has a Miss Luck who married a Mr. Rich. Chris Ferriolo, I know he's in the chat.
Yes, he is.
He picked his parents. They met at school in Boston and had chemistry together. And then as runners-up, his maternal grandparents, Bob and Natalie. I picked them because aside from my parents, they're the second couple in my tree I remember growing up. My paternal grandfather died when he was a little 4-year-old, so he doesn't remember him and his grandmother together. But his maternal grandparents, he does remember how they treated each other. They wrote cards to each other during the war. They always just seemed happy to be with each other, and they were just great to be around.
Oh.
He went to their 50th wedding anniversary party in 1998 and had a great time, and they still had a spark. So that's lovely.
Nice.
Now, Margaret, I have to say, I love a good twist. Margaret gave me a twist when I was reading this answer. She says, Edward Pratt was born in 1819 in Knaresborough, Yorkshire. He married Maria Myers there in 1844, and the couple were together until her death in 1896. Edward died in 1900 in Leeds, and I duly got a copy of his will. Surprise! He had left everything to his wife, Mary, with the comment, who I should have married in the first place. Sure enough, he had married again in 1899, a widow, Mary Pearson.
Oh.
So what happened was Edward and Mary were in love early in life, and then he had to marry Maria for business reasons. So Mary, I don't know the details there. So Mary went ahead and got married to somebody else, and then she was a widow for 20 years before she and Edward reconnected.
Wow.
They married, sadly having less than a year together. But yeah.
That sounds like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, it really does. And Margaret doesn't specify her relationship to Edward. I didn't have a chance to suss that out. But,
Business reasons.
Yeah, what business?
well, thank you, Margaret. And Gail Ivy writes that my mom and dad are her favorite couple. This was really touching. She said, my dad was entirely devoted to my mom, his entire life with her. My mom knew she was going to marry my dad almost from the day they met. They were more like two teenagers in love than an old married couple, even on their 65th wedding anniversary. Rarely argued, never shouted in her lifetime, and my dad would do anything for my mom. When my mom's driving began to suffer when her dementia was first detected, my dad simply said, "Oh, I'll take you," whenever mom had to go out. He drove her everywhere after that until he hung up his keys at 90. My dad stayed sharp as a tack to his last day and passed away in my mother's arms.
Wow.
Yeah. Wonderful. And she said, this kind of dedication and devotion my dad showed for my mom seems like such a rare thing these days.
Wow.
Yeah. Keith Calkins said that on his father's side, my third great-grandfather, Elias Calkins, married Mercy Post. Elias died young in northern Ohio, and the postmaster, Justice Bissell's wife, Nancy, died around the same time. So Justice and Mercy got married in the 1820s and spent many years together. I think in those times, it was really made sense if you were widowed, if you could possibly remarry. It made life easier. And so I guess they were both single at the same time, and it was a happy thing for them.
Yeah, hooking up with the mailman. That's another Hallmark movie.
Not just the mailman, the post. Well, the post. I see him as like heading up all the village mail.
Yeah, the postmaster. Yeah,
right.
And then Kim Laird added, much better than my aunt's great aunt Fanny Fry, who married a man named Owen Pinch. I imagined a couple goosing each other every day. Then we have Kim herself answered her mom and dad. He's still alive, but she has passed. He misses her greatly. They were married for 70 years. And even now he talks about her with such love. High school sweethearts, that Kim rarely saw them argue, and they never let the sun go down on disagreements. And then her maternal grandparents, the day he met her, he came home and told his landlady, I just met the woman I'm going to marry. He was in Michigan, only intending to stay for a few months, working for money to go out west and be a forester, but he ended up staying in Michigan for the rest of his life. He used to say, I am the wealthiest man on earth, while he looked at his 4 children. He was so sad after she died that he never talked about her again.
Wow.
She thinks it hurt too much.
Mm-hmm.
But a great blessing, she said, to have them in our lives. Marion Cerruti said that her parents William and Lucille took dancing lessons together, practiced, and got very good at it. Whenever they got up to dance, everyone else would sit down and watch, and they played music together. I really think that doing artistic, coming from my perspective of being a musician, doing artistic things together really strengthens the bond. So making dancing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Especially dancing. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And then we have Alice Thompson. Often we have Alice in the chat. I don't know if I saw her this morning.
I don't think
but this is her parents. And they were married on Valentine's Day, 1948.
Oh.
Yeah. And she was born the following January, 49.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. And then our last answer is from Dave Roberts. He writes, he picked his second great-grandparents, William Cat or Kate, born in Sussex in 1825. He married Mary McCarthy, born in Ireland about 1820. They married on July 15th, 1851, in a Church of England in Horsham, Sussex. And 8 days later, they boarded Tory at London to emigrate to South Australia. I had to think about that because, it's always said that change is stressful. And that's sort of obvious when it's a painful change like a death. But even like a marriage or, moving to a place you want to go to, all of those, they're like, a little stressful. So they got married, and 8 days later they got on a boat and they left to move for another country. And what a time in their life. So they moved there. He went to the Victorian goldfields twice before returning to South Australia to run a hotel in Brighton. And in 1854, he became a police officer. He was drill master at the mounted police barracks in North Terrace for many years. Mary had a reputation as a bit of a drinker. She'd go into the city for drinks with some friends, and while on her way home on the tram, she'd ring the bell all the way home.
Oh, no.
On her deathbed, Mary asked to see a Catholic priest, but William, being a staunch Anglican, would not allow him to enter his home. A fascinating couple. I would have loved to meet them.
Wow. I wonder how he knew all that.
Yes, I know. Maybe letters from family members who did know them. It's
oral history, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Family stories told. Yeah. Because that's hilarious. Ringing the bell.
Yeah, that's right. She'd be the type in a high rise. She'd hit all the buttons on the elevator.
That's funny.
And I can just imagine the tram driver saying, "Stop it! Cut it out!
Cut it out. Yes.
You're gonna wake everyone up."
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so I think it's over to me. Right?
Yeah. Connection checkers.
Connection checkers. Here we are, and we are celebrating Black History, of course, Black History Month.
Yep.
And so we have 12 people who picked out. And if we go to, where did my profile pop up here? If we go to the connections, let's go to my profile here. And I hit the all degrees table. We can see how they're all connected to each other. So they're all in the, teens, 20s and stuff, except for this one little connection here that's really close.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. And that is Booker T. Washington. Is just one marriage away from being directly connected to Henry Louis Gates.
How cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
So now what's this? So Booker's, let's see, husband. Okay, so there's the marriage, I guess, right? Yeah. So this person would be mother, sister. So the common ancestor would be here. So it would be his, what would be those are siblings, first, second cousin, right? Would that be
about right?
Would Paul be Henry's second cousin? Something like that. So Booker's granddaughter married Henry's second cousin. Second cousin once removed? Maybe second cousin once removed, right? Yeah. Anyways, that's pretty close. So that was kind of so we start off with the main profile of the week, Booker T. Washington, Booker Taliaferro Washington.
I did not know his middle name.
No, I've only heard of Booker T. Washington, never knew what the T stood for.
Right.
I just was going to guess, Thomas or something like that. But Taliaferro. And if you look at his ancestors, now, sadly, those
Not done. Yeah.
we have the name of his mother, but we don't know the rest. So where did Taliaferro come from? One wonders.
That's a clue. I mean, it's got to be a clue.
It's got to be a clue. I mean, that is an unusual name. So it's got to be related somehow, but interesting. The profile doesn't probe into that. But anyways, Booker T. Washington, of course, famous American educator and author and orator, founder and president of Tuskegee University, Washington. He was the foremost educator and leader in the African American community during his time. So he was born into slavery around the 5th of April, 1856, on the Burroughs Tobacco Farm in Franklin County, Virginia. Small farm, but he always referred to it as a plantation. I imagine they always referred to them as plantations, right? Probably. Yeah. Even if they were a small little farm, that was just the term you used. His mother was Jane, and she was a cook, did not know who his father was. There were reports that it was a white man who lived somewhere nearby, but that's not added to the profile. And I don't think it's even in the research notes. So I guess it is a mystery. I'm wondering if this is too far back for DNA to be any help in this. Right. I mean, that's pretty nebulous. A white man from a nearby plantation. That's a huge.
That's a big net.
That's a big net to be searching.
But, I mean, with his being born in 1856.
Oh.
I mean, you would think
there would
that
be.
If there were other descendants of the father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There'd be some, Yeah, it's possible, but it's not detailed here.
I mean, Y-DNA, if he,
yes,
he did
Yeah.
have 2 sons.
the
And
Y-DNA match would be the easiest way to try and track it down.
Yeah.
But again, we don't have nearly as many Y-DNA testers generally than just regular autosomal DNA. So you have to sort of get lucky with
True.
that.
Very true.
But that would be a one way to do it. After the Civil War ended, of course, all the slaves were emancipated. He moved to Malden in West Virginia with a stepfather. Joined the salt works. Now, this is interesting. He began work at 4 a.m. so that he could attend school later in the day. I mean, he must have been tired.
Yeah.
Education was important to him.
It was. I mean, so important that at the age of 16, he walked 500 miles to back to Virginia to enroll in a new school in what is now called Hampton University, but was just Hampton Institute back then. It was for Black students that allowed them to pay their way by working. So he worked his way through school, finished in 1975. Then he taught school back in Malden, helped his 2 brothers to attend the same institute he was at, did a seminary, and then returned to Hampton Institute where he taught, ran the night school. The principal recommended that he become the head of what was the Tuskegee Institute, and now Tuskegee University in Alabama. So it was originally called the Tuskegee Negro Normal Institute and opened on the 4th of July, 1888. That's an auspicious day for an opening. And it was originally just a raggedy old building owned by a local church with minimal funding. I can imagine that. But nicely, he was able to get a loan from the Hampton Institute where he was before. And that makes sense. He would have those connections, and they would obviously recognize the importance of what he was doing. And so they helped him purchase an abandoned plantation on the outskirts of Tuskegee. And now soon 540 acres. So that's pretty impressive. Had over 400 students. 3 wives. Both of his first wives died very sadly. His first wife they were only married for 2 years, and she died from injuries from falling off a wagon.
Oh, no.
Isn't that sad? They had 1 daughter before she passed away. And then his second wife, they were only married 4 years. They had 2 kids in that time. But she died after her second child was just a few days old. But then the third wife survived and actually outlived him, passed away in 1925. So that was nice. Of course, he became a national icon, delivered speeches at the beginning of the Cotton States and International Exposition in Atlanta, where and that gained fame from that. Helped establish National Negro Business League. President Theodore Roosevelt invited him to speak to visit the White House. Unfortunately, he became ill when he was traveling in New York City in 1915, went back home and died in November that year at the age of 59. Over 8,000 people attended his funeral. Very impressive. Now, one of the things I just wanted to sort of point out, I'm using the WikiTree browser extension, and one of the features it has is, so you can see here, he had three wives, right? And I don't know if you can tell, but can you tell that there's a different color?
Yes.
Yes.
The wives.
Oh, and it correlates with the children.
And it correlates with the children. So green wife had green child, and red wife had 2 red children. I mean, the color coding is what I mean. Not that he had Martians for children. No.
Yeah, I never knew that. Never knew that.
So that's kind of neat, eh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, especially in big families from, early times.
Oh, yeah, when there's mixed families all over. Yeah.
Yep.
Multiple relationships. Yes.
That's right, yeah. And something similar, I think, happens with the siblings as well.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So you see here
Are they half siblings?
Well, the thing is, the father is unknown. So I guess technically
Oh.
that makes them half siblings because they don't have the same father because, well, the fathers
Okay.
are unknown. So
So the father is unknown for all four of them.
that's
Yes.
right. I believe so.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Oh, wait a second. We do have a name for that. Washington.
Oh,
Ferguson.
for Amanda.
That's the stepfather that he moved with, right?
Mhm.
So this, again, it would be a half sibling because it's not his father.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, another father unknown. So all of them are half siblings. So the connection is through the mother, which has the orange stripe here.
Yeah.
So in case you never noticed that before, if you're using the WikiTree browser extension, it's kind of a neat way to tie families together and see that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's cool.
So next profile, Cassius Clay. Cassius Marcellus Clay, more commonly known, of course, as Muhammad Ali, but born Cassius Clay. Of course, the American world heavyweight boxing champion, who was stripped of his title in 1966 and threatened with prison. And he lost many of the prime years of his career, but ultimately successful fight for his rights as American citizen. I was going to say Canadian citizen. American citizen. Vindicated, he re-won the world championship in 1974 and was the first heavyweight to win the championship 3 times. He's considered the greatest heavyweight boxer in the history of the sport, a position which gave him a platform for speaking truth to power.
Yeah, and he says he was the prettiest.
He was the prettiest, was he?
He was the prettiest. Yes, that was always one of his lines.
I don't know if he was the prettiest near the end. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Well, but that's what he used to say. He was so pretty, he said.
Yeah. Was he also the, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee?
Yes, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Yeah.
Bob and weave, bob and weave.
Bob and weave. There's a few quotes here from him. Why should I keep my white slave master's name visible and my black ancestors invisible and unknown and unhonored? Good question. So, of course, he did change his name. He converted to Islam and changed his name to Muhammad Ali. Mm-hmm. And another interesting quote here, I'm America, I'm the part you won't recognize, but get used to me, black, confident, cocky, my name, not yours, my religion, not yours, my goals, my own, get used to me. He was cocky. And then when he died, President Obama had this to say, that's the, referring to the quote that I just read, that's the Ali I came to know as when I came of age, not just as skilled as a poet on the mic as he was as skilled as a poet on the mic as he was a fighter in the ring, but also a man who fought for what was right, a man who fought for us, who stood with King and Mandela, stood up when it was hard, spoke out when others wouldn't. Yeah. He would earn, he stood his ground, and his victory helped us get used to the American we recognize today. So. That's an important thing, standing up for what is right. I think we all agree to that. Yeah. Died in 2016 from respiratory failure. And he had suffered from Parkinson's disease at the end of his life there. Yeah.
Married 4 times.
Married 4 times. Do we have all 4 wives there?
He was very difficult to get along with.
Combative, possibly? I don't know. We have 3 wives. One who has passed away, 2 private ones, and a 3rd one, or 4th one, I guess, who isn't listed. It doesn't have a WikiTree profile.
Right.
But one interesting thing that he does have an extensive ancestry, unlike many, like Booker T. Washington. And it looks like it traces back to this Henry Clay, who was the Speaker of the House of Representatives and the 9th Secretary of State, interestingly. So that was interesting. Then we have Marguerite Ann Johnson, or Maya Angelou. Of course, she's an acclaimed American poet, memoirist, and civil rights activist. Authored numerous items, including 7 autobiographies, several books of poetry, essays, plays, movies, and television shows, and received many awards and over 50 honorary degrees. Yeah, a wonderful poet.
Can you scroll up just a minute?
Scroll up?
Yeah, up Yeah. Up,
Go the other direction.
yeah, right there where you see the Maya Angelou is part of the Black history, has a platinum profile. That means that
Ooh.
our notables team has done extensive work on improving that profile and did a massive profile makeover. And that's why it's getting the platinum profile status.
Oh, right, that.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know about that. That's
Yes.
wonderful. Yeah, nice way to distinguish a profile.
Mhm.
Wow. So the project assigns the platinum.
Yeah, the notables team, once they've done a review, because it's got to meet certain standards, they've got a checklist of everything that has to be available on that profile to achieve platinum status.
Excellent. That's very cool.
Wow.
Now, if
They work hard to make those happen. Yeah.
If I work on that, platinum profiles. There we go. And there's the requirements. Look at that. Now, is it a category? Can we look at the categories of all those who have been? Let's see.
Is there a category?
No, there's just the two categories of the Black hair.
Yeah, I think it's just that having that special thing there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Very neat. Yeah. So beautiful profile, of course, for a beautiful lady, and love the quotes, of course. I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Yes.
So isn't that true? Oh,
yeah.
And when you meet students, years and years later, sometimes they don't even remember, were you my math teacher or my computer teacher? Like, they won't remember that. But they'll remember, well, usually they tell me I was a nice teacher. So, just remember that.
I have to say, I'm looking at my connection path to Maya Angelou, and it's 25. So,
right.
But it is through my mother's line, which is really unusual. We all have sort of one line. Where everything
yes, that's right. Yeah.
So that was the first thing that popped out at me. And then I almost have all the check marks, even though it's a relatively longer path. So maybe this is what I do over the weekend. Get 4 more checks and then it'll be verified.
Wow. Neat. Then we have Ernest Banks, who
my cousin.
He's your cousin?
Yes.
No way. That's excellent.
Yes, we're second cousins.
Wow.
Second cousins.
Yes.
Wow.
So did you know him? Did you meet him personally?
Once. He came to our family reunion down in Louisiana, but usually I dealt mostly with his mother. But he did come once.
Wow.
That is so cool. Wow.
That's the closest we have had, right?
We've never had anyone that close before, I don't think.
Second cousin, yeah.
I mean, I might have had some French cousins, first cousin, but multiple times removed. Never. That is amazing. Wow. Well, maybe you should present this profiler.
I'm just glad he's featured finally. This is the first time he's been featured. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Neat. He was a professional baseball player who was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1977 and regarded by some as one of the greatest players of all time. And in 2013, he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom for his contribution to sports. And his number 14, has been retired by the Chicago Cubs. Yeah. So neat. He started out his sports career, though, not playing baseball, but playing for the Harlem Globetrotters on a part-time basis. He was in the Korean War, posted in Germany. And then he was discharged in 1953. And then he signed with the Chicago Cubs in late 1953, made his debut on the September 17th at the young age of 22. And he was the Cubs' first African-American player. Long career with many achievements, and then retired in 1971 with a total of 512 home runs. 270 home runs as a shortstop were a career record at the time of his retirement. So that's impressive, like almost twice as much. Almost twice as much. as of 2022, he still held Cub records for number of games played and at bats and extra base hits and total bases. It'd be interesting if now in 2026, if he still holds those records. But I mean, even if they were surpassed, still they lasted for a long time. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
He also won a Golden Glove Award for shortstop in 1960. Yeah. Married a few times.
Quite a few. That's another one that.
And I love his pictures. There's one face on, and where's the other one? Boop, boop, boop. There we go.
Yeah.
That must be from a baseball card.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, look at that. Very cool. Now the other thing that's kind of neat is we actually have some DNA connections. I recognize that DNA connection there. Denise, you're listing the DNA connections.
Yeah.
I should have known as soon as I saw that. Because I made note of that. That we have a DNA connections. We don't always get DNA connections to the profiles of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I'm still trying to get more cousins onto WikiTree. So far, I just have that one.
Very cool. Okay. Well, you keep on. Keep it up. Excellent. Aretha Franklin, of course, the Queen of Soul, known around the world for her distinctive voice and soulful music style, widely considered the most influential female vocalist of the 60s. She was the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. First woman overall. It didn't say first woman of color, first woman. Nice. Yeah. And so just a few things I picked out from her profile I wanted to just point out. She can play piano by ear, which is a very impressive skill. I can do that now, but I could not growing up. I learned the notes, and I had to have the music. If I didn't have the music, I couldn't play a song. So that's a very impressive thing. She recorded her first album at 14. Holy overachiever. She sang at Martin Luther King Jr.'s funeral, which is very impressive. And of course, her song RESPCT is an anthem that's been used for many, for civil rights, women's rights, and stuff. And I believe she get the presidential Medal of Freedom? Yes, she did. Presidential Medal of Freedom. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So sadly died of pancreatic cancer in 2018. Henry Louis Gates, very short because he has no profile, no bio.
He's not platinum.
He's a living notable and has a very slim profile here on WikiTree, but he, of course, is a historian, a professor, a literary critic, and of course, host of Finding Your Roots. And he also was a contestant on the WikiTree Challenge. And related to that, you can see that he's got 956 connections. So now we're currently in the middle of a WikiTree Challenge for February. So we don't want to divert anyone's attention from that. But when we are finished with this week's WikiTree Challenge, maybe some people can help boost him so that he can get to the 1,000 connection mark. That'd be kind of neat if we could get him to CC7 of 1,000.
Yeah, that challenge I think was back in 2020 or 2021.
That's
shortly after I joined WikiTree.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a while back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So his now, if you look at his ancestors tab, that's well filled out. Not surprisingly, he knows his pedigree. But with the CC7, we can take any of those and go sideways and do in-laws of in-laws and add to that. So that is our challenge. Althea Gibson, American athlete who excelled at tennis and golf in the 50s and 60s, broke the color barrier for women competing in those sports. 1950, she was the first Black player to compete at the U.S. National Championship, Forest Hills. First African-American ever to win a Grand Slam tennis championship with her 56th French championship victory. And in 57, she was the first Black champion of Wimbledon, the first Black player to be ranked number 1 in the world, won 11 tennis Grand Slam tournaments before retiring from amateur tennis, and then turned to golf and started first Black player in the LPGA Tour, and became the first Black member of the Ladies Professional Golf Association. There we go.
Wow, that's unique, right?
Yeah,
excelling in 2 sports.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's right. So here's some neat photos of her. Let's see, if I hit browse photos, does that give me the whole album? Yes, it does. There we go.
Oh,
Some neat photos there.
absolutely.
But you're also peppered through the profile, which looks great. Let's now. I want to go back. Nope. Go back to the profile. There we go. Click on family. The other thing is, so lovely. I love the timeline here. You know, with the date and the achievements. That's so nicely done. And I wanted one cool thing about the timeline. Of course, it's done with a wiki table. So if we go into, wait a second, I wanted to go in edit mode. Edit.
You have to go with the draft.
I just discarding the draft. I was playing around and I don't want to. So when you scroll down, so here's all the wiki text, of course. I am using the WikiTree browser extension, but I'm just using the basic editor. I'm not using the enhanced editor, just because I'm thinking most people probably use just the regular editor, but maybe I'm wrong. But anyways, that's what I'm using here. And here's that timeline table. Now, one cool thing, I don't know if you know this or not, but if you have the WikiTree, if you have the wiki table wizard enabled in your biography here, and you've got an existing wiki table in your profile, if you double click on, if you go somewhere in the table, if you double click on a word or whatever, did you see there's a little pop up there? Do you see that?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
If you click on that, it'll load the WikiTree Weibo, WikiTree Weibo, the wiki table wizard.
Easy for you to say.
And it'll preload it with all the data that was there. So it makes it a lot easier to edit the table if it already exists.
I had no idea.
Oh,
That's fantastic.
I think Amy learned something new. Did I teach you something new?
Yeah.
Yes, totally.
I think that's so cool. Now, the one thing about this one, now it had special formatting. You notice the color? It was that nice sort of faded. So that color comes from this extra code that's here. And you can add that code in the wiki table, actually. If we go back to it, I can show you. There's a place here where you can pick the color, or no, there's where you pick the color. You can pick a color, or you can type in the values in here if you know the red, green, blue and stuff. That stuff doesn't, currently anyways, doesn't get picked up when it jumps into the wiki table editor. So I don't know if that, how easy or difficult that is to add to that feature. But most wiki tables don't actually have that type of special coloring. But that's the only caveat I have for that. So I'm going to go back to say no.
Awesome.
I want to cancel. Where's the cancel?
I'll keep
delete
going.
draft and return to profile without saving. That's what I want to do.
Great tip.
Isn't that a cool tip?
Yeah.
So who do we have? So that's Althea. Arthur James Gregg, born in 1928 in Florence, South Carolina, passed away just a couple years ago, 2024, at the age of 96. Always loved to have profiles where people live at a nice long life. Lieutenant General Arthur James Gregg was a trailblazing U.S. Army officer who made significant contributions in the area of logistics. He became the first Black Army officer to attain the rank of Lieutenant General. And Fort Gregg Adams was named in his honor, reflecting his lasting impact on the military. So what's neat about his military career is that his focus was always on logistics. It was not fighting in the field, but logistics. And when you think about it, that's key, right? it's making sure everything got to where it needs to go. So the army, the people who were on the front lines had what they needed. Because I mean, there's that famous saying about an army. What was it? Now I forgot the famous saying, but the army marches on its stomach, basically, right? Isn't that it's something like that? Anyways, if you don't have enough food, you can't get to where you want to go, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Right. So logistics is super important. And as a mathematician, logistics is, I highly am impressed by that sort of stuff. So there we go. There's a lovely photo of him as well. And the fort that he was named, that was named in his honor, Fort Greg Adams, which was formerly Fort Lee, is a logistical hub for the U.S. Army, and renamed for him and also Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams early. So it's a combination honoring both of their service. James Mercer Langston Hughes, also known as the poet Langston Hughes, a poet, fiction writer, playwright, columnist, and leader of the Harlem Resistance. His father, and sadly, his father left the family early on. Went to, where is it? It was an absentee father. He moved to Cuba and then Mexico to escape the racism prevalent in the United States, which is sad. But Langston Hughes persevered, grew up despite poverty and an absentee father, did a number of different jobs, worked on a cargo ship, things so that he could continue to write. Interesting anecdote here that he slipped poems onto the dining table of a well-known poet. So just sort of to let her know, I'm writing poetry too. And then she discovered him, finally she got hooked and discovered him, and then he became, I guess, more famous. But one nice thing is that even though, where are we here? He created a lifelong flow of warm and sensitive novels about American life. And he considered his home to be a tenement neighborhood in the heart of Harlem. Rosa Parks, another beautiful profile, of course, remembered as the first lady of civil rights. Her refusal to give up her bus seat to the White Rider sparked the Montgomery bus boycott and became a symbol of movement. She went on to collaborate with those other civil rights leaders, including Martin Luther King Jr., of course. And there we have her mugshot there from, beautiful sight. Another beautiful person.
I'd like to plug the Henry Ford Museum the bus that she did her protest on is housed at the Henry Ford Museum.
No way!
Yeah, Dearborn, Michigan. You are allowed to go onto the bus. I don't know that you can sit in her seat, but I think you can sit in other seats on the bus.
That is very cool. That is neat. I don't think, is this in the profile? I don't think it's in the profile.
Yeah, probably not. And she actually was not the first. Colleen Culver was first, but Rosa Parks got more attention. Yeah.
Okay. Sidney Poitier, of course, famous actor, Bahamian American actor and film director. In 1964, he won the Academy Award for the Best Actor, and I believe that was for his role of Virgil Tibbs. Was it not?
Might have been.
In the Heat of the Night.
In the Heat of the Night.
Yeah. A couple things I know. He was a preemie. Did you know that? He was born a few months premature, and he was in the hospital for 5 months before he was able to go home.
Oh, who knew?
Yeah. His birth in the U.S. He was born in the U.S., and so that entitled him to dual citizenship, U.S. and Bahamian citizenship. And if you look at his ancestors, there you can see it's a fairly full pedigree, but all in the islands. So Bahamas, and then over here, Turks and Caicos, David Poitier from Kirk. So very cool. Now our friend Peter C. Roberts, who is big in the DNA project, is also has deep Bahamian roots. So I'm
Yes.
wondering if there's any crossover there. We might have to do some investigation about that. Anyways, neat. Knighted by Queen Elizabeth, of course, had a wonderful life, and again, lived to the age of 94. So fantastic. And our final profile of the week is Isabella Baumfree, also known as Sojourner Truth. So she was born into slavery in 1797 on the Colonel Johannes Hardenberg estate in Ulster County, New York, with the name of Isabella Baumfree. So when I first read that, I thought, New York. I didn't realize slavery went all the way up to New York. But then when you look at the date, it's 1797. So that's early days. Her parents were James and Bet Baumfree. And the profile talks about exactly where the home is. Her parents had a total of 10 or 12 children, most of whom were sold into slavery before she was old enough to remember them. So she only remembers her younger brother, Peter. Her first owner, Johannes Hardenberg, died in 1799, and then she was transferred to his son, Charles, and he died in 1808. And at that point, the family was split up. So she and her younger brother were sold in different places. What interesting, her first language was not English, it was Dutch. So the last name Hardenberg, Johannes Hardenberg, they were a Dutch family. And so that's, people grew up speaking Dutch on that plantation, I guess. The profile talks about her life as a slave and going back and forth. Finally, now New York did repeal slavery, abolished slavery in, it would take 28 years. So I think it's 1827, there it is. July 4th, 1827, it was finally abolished. Her owner the year before had promised to free her early, but he reneged on that. So she spun him a final 100 pounds of wool and then walked away to freedom, taking her daughter with her. And then 1843 became a turning point. She became a Methodist and changed her name to Sojourner Truth, and then became a speaker and an advocate for abolition. And very famous speaker. Ain't I a Woman speech, made in 1851, Women's Convention. Yeah. So, and she helped recruit soldiers for the Union Army, even. Died in 1883 at the age of 86. Very impressive. So those are your profiles of the week.
All right.
Yeah.
Good job.
Fascinating. Thank you.
Really interesting ones. Yeah. So let us go to the social media tab and see what's happening this week. Anything happening this week? There's always things happening. So we'll have a question of the week on Monday. Desmond is our one name study on Tuesday. We'll have another round of connections checkers, which will be released on Tuesday. And then Agnone Molise in Italy is our one place study. That is, I don't know where Agnone Molise are. So Chris, you'll have to fill us in exactly where that is. U.S. Presidents, the projects that's highlighted on Thursday. We have a Hall of Fame on Friday. Meet our members, regular GGG post. And then we're back again next Saturday. There we have it. So.
Hey, Tia has ancestors from Agnone.
Oh, look at that.
Very cool.
Yay.
Let me say. That's fantastic. Excellent. That's great. And of course, the WikiTree challenge is going on this week. And so if we go to, let's see. There we go. So yeah, the WikiTree challenge is going on. And so we still have a few more days to do that. With Sarah Cochran, the skeleton lady. So yeah. So help out there if you can. And anyways, have a great week, everyone. I'm going to stop sharing now. So thank you to everyone who's joined us this morning. Amy and Lisa for hanging in there.
Yes,
Great to
thank
have you
you.
with us.
And a shout out to Yolanda. Hi, Yolanda.
Oh, nice. Anyone you want to shout out to, Amy?
I'm sorry.
Do you want to shout out to anyone?
Shout out to everyone who is surviving this winter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Great.
so I will say adios and thank you to all my regular co-hosts, Betsy, Denise, and Vicki. Thank you for joining me. And thank you to everyone who's tuned in and who are watching it after the fact. And have a great day. And for our special guests, just hang around after before it closes so we can just chat and say goodbye. Anyways, goodbye, everyone. Have a great week. Great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Take
For
care.
those in Canada who celebrate that, which on Monday we get a long weekend here.
Oh,
So
right.
that's kind of fun. At least in Ontario. Other provinces have call it something different, and some don't have it. But most of us do get a long weekend this weekend, so we get to enjoy this one more day.
Yeah.
See you, everyone. Have a good.